small business big exit is an interesting environment, but let me just set the scene. So go back to the beginning. When you look at what's happening in the business owner world at the moment, the majority of small businesses in Australia are owned by baby boomers. Right? So people who were born after before 64, 1964, right? So the majority of small businesses, so that's about 99% of businesses in Australia, small businesses, and most of those are owned by baby boomers. 1.7 million baby boomer businesses, 1.4 million are looking to retire in the next 10 years, but only 140,000, so about 10% are ready for sale. So what that means is that they don't sell. So 1.1 million businesses just simply won't sell. They'll simply close the door and walk away. It's pretty sad, really. When you're looking at a business that's been going for 30 or 40 years, there's not a lot to show for your business if you actually got to simply shut down and close the door, right? Not much fun. The 17% that do sell, they're lucky if they get 1.5 times what they made last year. Just, again, not a lot to show. Doesn't have to be the case, though. The reason, though, that this happens is they're basically not set up for sale in the first place. So, poor preparation. So what happens is they've got a business, what am I going to do? I'll give it to a broker and see what happens. They cross their fingers and the business broker just goes, I'll just try and sell it for as much as I can get for it, but I want a quick sale. I don't want to go up here. I just want a quick sale because I get commissions when I get a quick sale. Second thing is they attract the wrong buyers, so they get little or no qualified leads, which is pretty poor. And the third thing is that they can't negotiate. So whilst they're great at selling their own product, you wouldn't go and sell your own home. So you're probably not very well versed in actually selling your own business either. So they don't know how to negotiate. They often walk away with something that they're unhappy with. So they end up with this value, but they need this value to retire on. So it's a huge gap. So we've come up with a process. And the process is 5 P's. Purpose, understanding who your market is, who you're going to sell to, why you're going to sell, what you're going to do next, why would someone buy your business, so all that sort of stuff. The second thing is take a peek at your business, what's it valued at in today's market. So you might think it's valued at X, but if the market's only on Y, there's a big difference, big discrepancy. If there is a big discrepancy, then we move to prime, which is really about priming your business for sale and rapidly increasing the value of your business. I'm going to focus on that prime thing today. The fourth area is to promote. How do you promote your business? It's your marketing plan to actually promote your business with or without a broker. Brokers are great, but you can do it yourself as well if you know how. And then perform. Perform is about negotiating. So the tools, tips and techniques so you know that you know how to actually negotiate the sale of your own business. So let's focus on prime. Prime, rapidly increase the value. So how do we do that? We've got a framework around that as well. Again, 5 little areas. And profits, increase your profits. Look at your asset base. Make sure there's some cash flow in the business. Look at the level of independence in your business, and also look at things like first impressions. Right? Why do we do that? Because when people come in the door, they're a little bit aware. I want to buy a business, but I'm not really sure what's going on here. So there's not a very high level of trust. There's probably a lot of fear, and there's a lot of tie kickers that are out there as well. So what we do here, the PACIFI is pacify. So what we're trying to do is pacify your buyer. Just put an acronym around that. So how do we do that? Profits. It's really cool. When I first walk into a business, I ask people about what their business model is, and they go, "Oh, I don't know." A business model is simply what's the things that are in your business that actually help you make the profit. And is it predictable? Is there some sort of predictability to it? Do you know how many leads you have, what the conversion rate is, and do you have a sales process, and do you have, what does that model look like? And there's gazillion models that are out there. So really what we've got to try and do is work out what's the right model for your business, which is something that's predictable, predicting the profit that actually comes through your business. So that's about business model. Second thing is looking at your assets. So there are tangible assets, that's things you see, and the things that you don't see, intangible assets. Right? So your tangible assets are things like your financials. So show me your books. Show me what's going on. We look at investments or capital assets, so things that you see. So there might be plant equipment, you might have a forklift out there, you might have, what else is another asset? Big truck. Massive big truck and a fast red ute. That sort of stuff, right? And your assets are also sometimes a stock that you've got in your business. So everyone's got stock as well. So that sort of thing as well. But then there's all these intangibles. So intangibles, what's an idea of an intangible asset? A cash in your business, you don't have a business. So there's a business that is in Sydney that we've been trying to sell for 5 years. They're a tooling business. They turned over $5 million worth of sales last year. They've got $3 million worth of physical assets, like plant and equipment. They got the business value, and it was valued at zero. The reason why is because they had no cash flow. They didn't have a little bit of profit, not much to show for it, but they had no cash flow. So even though you've got a business that's, even the assets are $3 million, Secondly,